Can we take our seats, please? Good morning. Good morning. Molweni. Mzomhle wase Ginsberg. Mzomhle wase Qonce. This is a proud moment for me personally. This is a very proud moment for the Biko and the Mashalaba families. This is a beautiful moment for the community of Ginsberg, for the community of Qonce, for our province of the Eastern Cape, for South Africa, our country, for our continent. It is a moment that has got profound global resonance. It is a crowning moment. It is a culmination of a journey that is littered with positive and beautiful highlights. My name is Izuko Jacobs. I am the Director for Communication and Advancement at Rhodes University, and I'm going to be your Program Director for this August ceremony. We have got a short program, and we hope that by 1 o'clock we'll be done with the program. I'm not going to saddle you with the responsibility to have to recall the flow of that program, and I'm going to come up every time to introduce the next item to you. But first, before I invite our first speaker, with your leave, Vice Chancellor, Professor Sizwe Mabizela, the Vice Chancellor of Rhodes University, allow me to acknowledge and to make the following introductions. Phakathi kwethu sinaye usingaye, umama unontsikelelo, abaninzi bambiza usisintsiki. Ndiqiniseke bakhona bathi u-anti, bakhona bathi ugogo, Ntsiki, umama uBiko. Siyakwamukela ma. Umama Biko Usisintsiki is accompanied by members of both her families. I'm going to start with the Biko family. We have with us Utata Unkosnati Biko ekhatshwa nguMamulebu Biko. Sinomis Buli Biko kwicala lesapho lakwaMashalaba olusuka eMthatha ukuza kulo msitho. Sino nefamily yakwaDuna abaze apha. Phakathi kwendwalutho ezikhoyo, we have the very Reverend Bishop Ebenezer St. Martin Tlali, the former Bishop of Makhanda. Welcome, sir. And we have got also the Venerable Reverend Bubele Mfinyana, who is the Vicar General of the Archdiocese of Grahamstown. Welcome, sir. And we have the Acting Registrar from our university, Rhodes University, Professor Michelle Carroll. And we have got Sisulu Numpumelelo Baberi, who I will have the opportunity to introduce a little more elaborately later on. And we have got senior members of the academic and administration staff from Rhodes University. They are too numerous to mention, but you are all welcome, and thank you for making time to be part of this occasion. Without any waste of time, I'm going to invite the Vice Chancellor of Rhodes University, Professor Sizwe Mabizela, to come and address the congregation.
Thank you very much, Program Director. Mama Biko, the Biko and Mashalaba families, honored guests, colleagues and friends. In Psalm 118, the psalmist reminds us that this is the day that the Lord has made, and that we should rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. On this special day, we truly rejoice and are grateful for the opportunity to complete the honoring of Mama Biko by officially robing her for her honorary degree, Doctor of Laws honoris causa. This moment allows us to celebrate her remarkable contributions and enduring legacy. In 2021, Rhodes University conferred the honorary degree Doctor of Laws on Mama Biko graduation ceremony in adherence to the COVID-19 restrictions. Today, we have gathered here in Ginsberg to publicly celebrate this phenomenal woman whose quiet yet profound contributions over the decades have touched countless lives in her community. On behalf of our Chancellor, Judge Lexon Party, our Chair of Council, Judge Gerard Bloom, and the entire Rhodes University community, I take great delight in extending our warmest and heartfelt congratulations to you, Mama, on the conferral of your honorary degree. You have earned this well-deserved recognition and honor through your unwavering dedication and exemplary leadership and deep commitment to the well-being of the marginalized and downtrodden of our society. As we commented in 2021, I quote, "The conferral of an honorary degree on Mama Biko is in recognition and celebration of a long and sustained contribution as a dedicated community activist and an advocate for the upliftment of the poor and marginalized in our society. Deeply rooted in the philosophy of Black consciousness and the approach to community development that promotes self-reliance and personal agency, she has played a critical role in giving hope and livelihoods to the communities in which she has worked. Through her community activities, she has touched many lives and helped young and old to regain their dignity, self-respect, and humanity," end quote. As is often said, true leadership is not defined by titles or accolades, but by the lives impacted and the lasting change inspired. Mama Biko exemplifies this principle, not in pursuit of recognition, but in the fulfillment she finds through uplifting others. Never one to seek the limelight, service with dignity and grace. She is indeed humility personified. Her work in the community has transformed lives and given hope to countless individuals. Despite the many challenges you have faced, Mama, you have exemplified resilience, courage, and strength, remaining steadfast in your unwavering commitment to serving humanity with conscience and dignity. When, at the dawn of democracy in 1994, there was a scramble for political and economic positions, I never read nor heard of Mama pleading for any special dispensation or recognition for her on account of the hardships she endured under apartheid. She never expressed any sense of entitlement. It is with immense pride and admiration that the Rhodes University community has had this opportunity to honor and celebrate you, Mama, here in Ginsberg, in the company of your community, while you are still with us in flesh. Your courage, compassion, and relentless pursuit of a better life for the less privileged in our society are truly inspiring and remind us all of the power of one determined individual to make a positive change in the world. Your legacy of selfless and dedicated service to humanity will live on in the hearts and minds of the ordinary people you have touched, serving as an enduring source of inspiration for current and future generations. Your name will be permanently etched in the history of Rhodes University, serving as an enduring testament to your remarkable work of compassion and dedication for community upliftment. Future generations will learn of your invaluable contributions and the lasting impact you have made. We aspire for current and future generations of Rhodes University students to look to your example as a testament to the true meaning of selfless and dedicated service to humanity. Mama, we honor you. We salute you. And we commend you. Hearty congratulations, Mama. Thank you.
Iphimbo yaseGinsberg. Uyazi waphetha kwavokotheka ukamabizela ndaziva igazi libaleka emithanjeni. Ndazibuza uba iphimbongi yaseGinsberg ndiyithathe ngokwami le ndima kuzawuphinde kuthiwe ndiyangenelela nawukwa. Thank you very much, VC, Professor Sizwe Mabizela. When Professor Mabizela speaks, you can realize that he picks and chooses his word to make a particular meaning, to convey a specific message about a specific subject. I listened to every word and I'm in awe of what he said. He teaches, he preaches simultaneously. He imparts wisdom and he acknowledges humanity in one message. Thank you very much, Professor Mabizela. I am proud to introduce our next speaker, Usisi Mpumelelo Babeli. The reason I'm proud to introduce Usisi Mpumelelo is that she is the product of Rhodes University. You see, this moment today is a recognition of human excellence, of a paragon of human excellence. It's not done by anyone, it's done by Rhodes University. That has got a distinct meaning, it's different. Now, I'm going to be introducing a product of Rhodes University, Usisi Mpumelelo Babeli. She holds a master's degree in social science, in political and international studies from Rhodes University. Mrs. Mpumelelo is an author in her own right. She co-authored an article on the politics of knowledge in South African universities. It's a student's perspective. Mpumelelo Babeli is also a lecturer at Rhodes University in the Extended Studies Unit and teaches politics and international relations and sociology. Mrs. Mpumelelo is proudly a PhD candidate at the very same Rhodes University in the Department of Political and International Studies. Saving the best for last, we don't just do research for its own sake. We do research to make a difference in society. She looks at women's agency in the making of post-apartheid South African foreign policy. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the podium, Mpumelelo Babeli.
That was very intimidating. Good morning, everyone. Honorable Chancellor, Vice Chancellor Prof. Caesar Mabizela, the Deputy Vice Chancellors in absentia, the Registrar, the Biko family and friends, the Mashalaba family and friends, the esteemed guests who have all gathered here on this special occasion, all protocol observed. As Usfongile Kaba once proclaimed, that she salutes you, Ms. Biko Mashalaba, for being the woman that you've been to all of us and your community. A woman of integrity, a woman who lives an exemplary life, and you've become a role model to many. She noted that some of us will never do in our lifetime half of what you've done for your people. Thank you for affording us the time and your efforts and imparting your knowledge. I feel very honored to be invited to say a few words today. When I was invited, it took me back to memory of how I ended up doing my master's on the story and the life of Umamtsiki, as many know her as. Very few know this, but initially I had an entirely different topic for my master's, one focused on international relations. After Googling one morning, inspired by learning and research, I had done as a part of my master's, a divine intervention came. I shifted my focus. I then remembered words by Toni Morrison that said, if there's a book that you want to read that has not been written, you must write it. In response to Toni Morrison's words, I tasked myself with exploring the representation, contributions of women in the struggle against apartheid, and the everyday efforts that go into sustaining their communities. You are one of these women, Mamtsiki. I'm so glad to have found you. So much of who I am as a Black woman has been shaped by phenomenal efforts of women who go above and beyond in their communities. And I wanted to write the story with you at the center. Given that much of our history has marginalized the stories and the efforts and labor of women, in many ways it has also undermined and overlooked the work that women did and continue to do. The reason why I did my master's on Mamtsiki is the same reason why we are all gathered here. It is to join forces and show that we as an institution, as a people, and as a nation, remember your work, your ability to show up for your community, and the quest for a better, bright, and just nation. Today we stand here in awe of your labor, Mamtsiki, and all the women who continue to make an impact in society. It is to say that we see your efforts and impact on the people whose lives you have shaped, and in doing so, continue to inspire many generations and make us think about the kind of world that we want to live in. Your story, Mamtsiki, reminded me of much of journeys walked by many women who have risen above and beyond. As the Vice Chancellor said in 2021, for many years you have courageously and bravely endured the harassment and victimization and violence of the apartheid system. Through it all, you maintained your quiet determination, resolve never to be broken down by the brutal apartheid system. You remained steadfast in the noble cause of serving your community. Thus, our nation owes you an immense debt of gratitude and appreciation for the sacrifices that you have made throughout your life by serving your community and restoring faith and goodness in humanity. throughout the various roles that you have taken on and networks that you have formed or strengthened in the church, community development projects, and your work at the Steve Biko Center. You have been a great impact on the lives of women and young people in the community. Your work and role as a mother in the community can be understood as your greatest intellectual contribution. You remind us that knowledge is not only for our heads, but for our hearts and our hands. Your grassroots activism with the community has changed lives. The various women-centered networks that encourage women to harness and utilize their craft have enabled them to support their families. As Ellen Kuzwayo once said, you form part of women who have been branded as minors by their countries. However, you continue to model a lifestyle for future generation. Long live your spirit. Your various women-centered organizations and networks stand as a pillar of society, and the various projects continue to try and repair insecurities and issues in the community. You have engaged and landed a hand in fixing some of the country's issues that we see in today's democracy, some related to healthcare, poverty, unemployment, gender-based violence, and education. You continue to address all of these while holding on to the ethos of Ubuntu and the Black conscious philosophy, while trying to bring about change. Prof. Spukazi Magala drew our attention to the fact that Inyathi kubuzwa kwabaphambili and how we learn from those who came before us. Mamtiki, you have devoted much of your life to helping and caring and educating many, and since then inspiring generations, and change how we think about ourselves, the world, and others. You often refer to how your parents and family and community taught you by example by doing what they believed was right. Despite the apartheid government trying to punish you and block you in hopes of limiting your contribution, it did not stop you. You are an example of commitment, humanity, strength, and generosity, hidden and marginalized by political arrogance and patriarchy of the apartheid government. You continue to shine through and remind us to continue to tell the stories of many women whose lives have been untold. Sisonke Msimane notes that the common misconception amongst people is that a lot of women like yourself enter into public sphere and activism because of who they were married to. But then she says, it is important that we remember that it was a choice. You chose your husband based on your ideological and intellectual champion, a husband as well as a comrade of equal footing. Now, in your own words, I am Unontsikelelo Mashalaba, who happened to be married to Biko. I have my own identity as a woman. The fact that I was Biko's wife, therefore, does not mean that I'm behind him or on his shoulders. I've got my identity to stand up and be myself. And today, Mamtiki, because of your standing up for yourself, we stand with you and say thank you, we see you, and congratulations.
Thank you so much, Sis Nompumelelo. Thank you for representing, because in the introduction we made sure that we claim you for who you are. And you came here and provided a clinical demonstration of exactly what we meant when we said, Rhodes is where leaders live. I am now going to invite the acting registrar, Professor Michelle Carroll, and she is going to conduct the robing of Umama Biko, something that we missed back in 2021 because of COVID. Now we're going to reenact that moment that we experienced virtually. Professor Carlos, I would like to invite you to come forward. Can we all stand, please? Thank you, choir. Yasombuluki namba. Wakhala umntana omthonyama wathi ndiphulaphule ngoba ndiyathetha. Andizange ndizogusha kule nkundla yaseGinsberg kodwa ndiphethe umyalezo. Ndithi bantwana bomthonyama zeni mhloniphe umama uBiko. Nimbeke njengesithozela sakhe asifaneleyo ngoba okwakunikiwe ukwamkele.
Umntungwa malunga ngezwi oh madoda lithunjana likatata nomama eliya yebo banothini hayibo
Sisekhaya.
Wow. What a day. What a day. I'm lacking words to explain how I feel today, because this day is going to answer so many questions by some people. When it was announced that I'm going to be honored by Rhodes University, they were saying, what has she done? But today you'll hear what I've done. Let me take this opportunity to thank Rhodes University for the honor it has bestowed upon me through the award of an honorary Doctor of Laws. I was actually told that this is the recognition of my contribution as a dedicated community activist and for devoting my life to the upliftment of the poor and marginalized. Vice Chancellor, Professor Mabizela, I've had the opportunity of thanking you at the University Council virtual meeting that we had before. It was during the time of the COVID. So it could not be done because of the COVID. This is why we're doing it today. I also extend my gratitude to all those who were involved in the process of nominating and adjudicating candidates for the honorary degrees in the year in which I was a candidate, namely 2021. Once more, I congratulate the other outstanding fellow recipients who were also recognized along with me and were also conferred degrees for the sake of honor. The other recipients were Advocate Dumisa Buhlenzabeza, Dr. Margaret Poland, Mr. William Smith, Ms. Mary DeHaas, and Professor Biko Abigas. Also, in that year, the university conferred degrees on and awarded diplomas and certificates to 2,204 candidates by examination in their respective fields of endeavor. I was delighted to note that 66% of the graduating candidates that year were women, and 52 received PhDs. I imagined that somewhere out there were proud parents who had given their all so that their children could join the gallery of graduates of this distinguished institution. I identify with these parents, having brought up children of my own, for whom I made many sacrifices. Beyond my own, God also gave me the strength to support many children of my community whose parents were worse off. The reason we gather for this event, despite several years having passed since the announcement of the award, is that none of us could gather physically in that year. Our country, and indeed the world, was surrounded by an enemy called the coronavirus. Vice Chancellor, you promised then that you would make the time to personally complete the process, preferably in my community. This is not the first time that you embraced me so warmly. I was your guest of honor on the occasion of your inauguration on that memorable day in February 2015. Back then, none of us could have predicted that the years immediately ahead would present such turbulence. But the reason that I accepted the honor is that it was a product of more than just your personal love for an old lady like me. It was based on rigor. Several years back, one of your students, Nompumelelo Babeli, decided to do her research on my life and my contribution to the community development. Thank you, Nompumelelo. I think that research opened eyes for so many people to say, because they're saying, okay, she is Mrs. Biko, but what has she done? But Nombulelo in her research has got it all, but I'll tell you what it is today. Ordinarily, I prefer to maintain my life as private as possible. I learned this habit as a way of protecting my then little children and to ensure that they have an ordinary life, particularly after the death of my husband. But she was very persistent. She didn't give up. I'm not easily approachable, but I had a soft spot for this girl. In her work, she took me back to my early years in Libode district where I was born, close to Mthatha, in a place called Nyandeni. In Nyandeni there's even a clinic that is named after Nontsikelelo Biko. Where I grew up as the fifth child of the late Kheme Abson, Undlovzidlekhaya ngokusela umalusi, uMtungwa, uMalunga, odadewethu bala, uBhilika Mahasha, kwakusitsho xa bizwa ezikolweni, and uNotsitsa Nancy Mashalaba Nyosoizwaphi, uMakheso, uNozulu Mpafana uMchuma, uMbango. My father, Abson, was the principal of Rainy Mission Primary School, where I enrolled for my junior schooling. In fact, he was the first teacher in Libode, and he brought so many kids to the school that the area there has got lots of graduates today, as I'm talking. She explored my family, that is Nompumle, my family life, growing up with my siblings, including my late brother, Dr. Sitembile Mashalab. He was our only brother that we had. And he was amongst the first black students to be admitted at Vets to do medicine. And he also specialized in anesthesia. When he practiced in Port Elizabeth, if there were going to be major operations, he would be called even in the middle of the night to go and anesthetize the patient. That was the way they respected him as an anesthetist. But he also had a surgery at KwaZakhele. And I've got sisters. Our elder sister, Thandiwe, Mrs. Gogoma, Koskazi yasemabhilini, umtshana wethu khona pha uphi ibhelekazi nansiya intombi yakhe ibhelekazi. And my two sisters who are here today, can you just wave them? Nontutuzelo, Mrs. Kundu, she comes after Dr. Mashala. And Nonyameko, Mrs. Fenguza, and I was the last born. So you can imagine how spoiled I was. I was not even able to cook. So when I got married, my sisters were worried that, uzawuthini lo muntu emzini, kuzawufuneka ephekile. But I made it. I made it. I want to acknowledge abachana bam bituna. Dinabachana up, Mr. and Mrs. Maja, all the way from Transkei. Allow me, Program Director, to acknowledge my friends. I've got church people here. Nah, baya, sikhonza sonke, but just lift your hands and say hi. Bishop Mtlali and Mrs. Mtlali are family friends. They are here. I'm not sure if I've seen other priests. Where is the, oh, they're right in front of me. Reverend Vava and Mrs. Vava are also friends of the family. And so many other friends that I hear that they will be acknowledged by whosoever will be doing the vote of thanks. We talked about my early years at Dininkosi Primary School in Tohan and at Buntingville Secondary School, where I completed my junior certificate. I then went to Shovry Senior Secondary School, where I matriculated before studying as a nurse and training at King Edward VIII Hospital in Durban. Specifically, my training was in general nursing and midwifery. I completed it in record time. I then later studied at the University of South Africa part-time. I specialized in primary health care at Doranginza and geriatric care, as well as HIV and AIDS counseling at Grey Hospital. This was part of my resolve to dedicate my life to public health. I had, of course, met my husband, Ubantu, Uqhamel Nokwindla, Umalambendle, Umadlinyamnyamakazi, in 1966 while in training at King Edward. He was a medical student at the University of Natal. We were to be married in 1970 at the Anglican Church. The church is right behind us here. Beautiful church, one of the churches that are so beautiful in this location, the Anglican Church. It's right behind this building. In 1972, when he was banned to King Williamstown, my family was forced to move from Durban to settle here in Kingsburg. After my training, I was refused permanent employment at King Edward because of our relationship. I still remember that morning when I was called by the matron. And I was still part-time. I was not full-time employed. So the matron said, oh, I've got bad news for you. I thought he was going to tell me about a bereavement or something. And he says, you must be aware that King George Hospital is closing down. Now the staff at King George is going to be accommodated at King Edward. So all those people who are temporary, their services are being terminated. Oh, okay. So because the medical school was next to the hospital, so I went to my husband to tell him that, hey, Fondi, dear God, so he said, okay, we go, what was the reason? So I told him, okay, collected our belongings and we went to stay in Amlazi. I'm out of a job. He's a student. So I followed this up. I went to the nurses that were also temporal. I visited them. And I said, guys, in fact, I phoned them. Guys, what do we do about this? Let's fight this. They must tell us where we must go and work. Only to find out they were just away for a day and they were called back. So it was just an excuse so that I don't feel like I'm the only one, because they were taken back except me. I managed to get work at St. Matthew's in King William's, in Kaiskamahuku, because of the interference of the security police. It was difficult for me to get posts in hospitals, because you mentioned Biko, we are a bad person. I then worked at All Saints Hospital. Oh, let me come to this one. I managed to get work at St. Matthew's in Kaiskomaku until there was a pressure exerted by the Siskain government now on the superintendent to dismiss me. I then worked at All Saints Hospital in Ngobo. That was where my sisters were nurses. We are a family of medical people, doctors and nurses. When Bantu was arrested on the 18th of August 1977 and subsequently killed by the security police in September 1977, I had just been at All Saints Hospital for 2 months. I was unable to work until 1981 due to the inquest into his death, other related court cases, and the perpetual interference of the security police, who pressured any institution that considered me for a post. I tasked myself with raising my children and working for the community. After his death, I became a trustee of the Ginsberg Education Trust, which he had helped establish, and which later evolved into Zingisa Trust Fund. It assisted impoverished youth to access education opportunities through bursaries. My home was a center of convergence for the activists of the Black Consciousness Movement from all over the country. Along with my mother-in-law, Mamtayet Ukiza, we welcomed and accommodated them. Ultimately, I obtained employment at Grey Hospital in King Williamstown, where I was on staff until 1999, when I was boarded off due to injuries sustained in a serious car accident. As you can see, I'm still walking on crutches. It was from that accident. Even here, however, the authorities intimidated the matron for associating with me. After my retirement, I turned to community-based activism, a passion I shared with my late husband. I became a member and secretary of the Ginsberg Civic Association. I served as the secretary of the Star of Hope, one of the iconic rugby clubs of Ginsberg. To this day, you will find me in the sports fields of Ginsberg, cheering our young ones as they participate in various sports. My love for choral music inspired me to join as an official of the Ginsberg Community Choir. I'm hoping that the choir will sing some choral song, then I can start dancing. In 1997, following the TRC hearings, I, together with my eldest son, undertook an investigative tour to examine how other iconic figures had been memorialized around the world. This was towards establishing the most appropriate memorialization of my husband in line with the best international practices. During this tour, and with the assistance of Ambassador Andrew Young, I met the widow of one of the leaders of the civil rights movement in the United States of America, Mrs. Coretta Scott King, wife to Dr. Martin Luther King. On this occasion, the city of Atlanta awarded me the freedom of the city. In New York, I was also able to meet with the children of the great leader, Malcolm X, who had just buried their mother, Betty Shabazz, and to pay tribute